Here we are, people of Colombia. I am right now with Tamás Kátai, the leader, the mastermind for the Catafalque, one of the most important bands starting the 2025 in Expreso Radionica. So it makes me very happy to have you here, Tamás. You're very welcome to Public Radio and El Expreso del Rock.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Well, Tamás, as I told you, I found out about the band back in the 2021 with the VADAC. That was right before the pandemic. So let's talk about what happened before that album, to introduce you to the listeners, because I watched your numerous albums, and I can tell that you are like a workaholic, because it's like 12 albums in 20 years. That's a lot, man. My respects.
Well, thank you very much. I think VADAC was our 10th. So there was 9 albums before VADAC. So it was a lot of things had been happening before that. It's just, for me, it is, well, nothing special because that's what I do. I write music and compose and record. And it was easy, much easier before we became a live band, because all I had to focus on was recording, writing and recording and composing, and that was it. I really enjoyed it. But now, since 2022, we are a live band as well. So we have to rehearse a lot. And there's plenty of work around it. So my focus is a bit, less strong now because I don't have enough time or energy left for writing music. So I assume I will be a bit slower for the next couple of years. However, I'm already writing the next one. So right now, before I called you, I was working all day on a new song. So I think it's still going on. I just enjoy, writing music.
Where you are right now?
I'm at home in Budapest, Hungary.
Okay. Well, what can I say? That's a quite interesting story, because and nowadays, in the metal scene, we are talking about the one-man project, especially after the pandemic. And you were one-man project, and now you have a band, So when do you decide that Tamás, it wasn't enough to be a studio man and start working as a band?
Well, it's even more interesting because we started as a 2-piece band. So right. There was 2 of us in the beginning with János Juhász was the guitar player. Right. And I was doing the vocals and the keyboards and the drum programs. And we've been working together for more than 10 years. So the first 4 albums were done by the 2 of us. Okay. And then he decided to step out and I left myself, and I was working with guest musicians, and well, basically that was it. So it was myself. I was deciding about the creative process, and it was going on until 2022 when not at that time, but the thing is, I was living in Scotland in the United Kingdom for more than 10 years between 2008 and 2018. Uh-huh. And then I returned home to Hungary. And then after my return to Hungary, I realized there were plenty of people who liked my stuff, and they just wanted to hear it live. But I was not interested, so they organized a show to perform my songs with my permission. And I said, of course, you can do whatever you want to. I'm happy if you do it. But it ended up, well, I had to go on stage as well for 3 songs. And this is what was recorded, and it's on the Mesolith live album. So it was published 1 year later, and that was the gig that was our live album. So after that, I realized it was actually not bad being on stage, and I enjoyed it. So we just decided to give it a try and make it into a normal live band. And since then, we are together, and we are just now having not a lot of gigs, but, numerous shows, like 15 shows per year, which is not bad. I don't want really much more. because we are not professionals, none of us. So we are just working. We have normal jobs, everyone in the band. So we don't really have much time for touring because, you know, you have to organize it with your normal job and your families and stuff like that. It's not easy. So I think we this year we will reach our limit in regards of the number of gigs, but so far it's doable.
Wow, man, you did the right decision, you know, because the first time that I hear about the Catafalque, it was because a friend of mine saw you live, and then you know this little snowball start to get bigger, and then we had the great news that you guys are going to play at the Cacique Metal Fest in Mexico. So that's great. We always go to the Caciques festivals, you know.
All right.
I'm gonna meet you there. So have you been in America before?
No, never. And none of us in the band have ever been in the Americas, North or South or Central. We never been there, so it's gonna be pretty new for us, and we're very excited about it because it's a big step for us.
That's right. And then we have Alfold, you know. So after what you respond, we can say that Vadak is like the continuation. I mean, Alfold is like the continuation from Vadak.
Well, with Artfeld, it was a bit different because, I mean, musically, I wanted to make a more direct album with less experimentation and more heavy and more dark and, you know, more homogeneous, more easy to digest. Because there were plenty of riffs. I had some simple metal riffs, and I never used them because, you know, this is an avant-garde metal band. I always wanted to experiment, and these riffs were too simple or too just, you know, straightforward. But for Artfeld, I decided to put all my ideas, these kind of ideas, into one album, and that was Artfeld. This is why it's more straightforward and it's more like I think it's early 90s extreme metal album. That's where our influences are. So I was growing up on the 90s, in the 90s, the first half of the 90s underground metal scene. So basically, I think Artfeld is just was coming from that era. And it's much less experimental than Vadak was, and much less experimental than the new album is.
It is, man. I can feel it and I love it. Because like I told you, I've been listening for some music for a lot of years, you know, 50 something years. And what I like is what you do, you know, experimenting, you know, avant-garde. That's what my ears expects, you know, and that's what I found in the Catafalque. So let's talk about the new album, man. 12 is a masterpiece, you know. Thanks a lot for that music, and let us know everything you want to talk about it. You know, this came out in the 15th of November, and it's going to be or is right now in number 3 in our top 25 metal detector February 2025.
Thank you very much for that. For me, that the album is a big step again forward. Basically, mostly because of the production. The production is different on this one, and it's stronger. I think this is the first time I was working with a real sound engineer who was not myself, because it's always me doing it because that was more convenient. Not because I'm a good sound engineer, because I'm not. Because with Artfeld, I felt I reached my limits in regards of the production, and my equipment and my knowledge and my experience was at the limit.
Well, let me tell you something, Tamás. I love avant-garde music. Like you see my shirt, you know, from Frank Zappa.
All right, yeah.
And what I see in your project is that you have a lot of people involved, and that's very
Yes.
hard, that's very, very hard. That's what I learned from Frank Zappa, in all aspects. So I would like to ask you how you deal with that, because if you have the 12th album, you'll find here all kinds of people involved, and it says Bogota, Colombia. So let us know everything about it.
But it's not that bad because, these days you deal with this through the internet. So there are plenty of people who are just recording stuff for money. And, when I need first of all, the most important thing with 12 was that if anything is possible to record with an organic instrument, with a real instrument, then we do record it with a real instrument instead of virtual instruments or synthesizers. So I wanted to have an as organic sound as possible and warm, natural sounds. So when I needed a flute, I was asking someone on the internet to record a flute for me. And if it's only 5 seconds, then it's 5 seconds. And most of these instruments are not very prominent, but they are there, and they enrich the sound a lot. And it's just easy because, you just hire someone, he records or she records the stuff in a day or two or a week or something. He sends me over the file. I start working with them, whatever. And that's it. So I don't have to, travel to the places and be there because I just send the music sheet and they just record it because they are professionals. So it's easier for me and it's an easy job for them. And it makes the record much, much better. So most of these participants I never met because we are not a real band. I mean, with these people, there's no need to meet personally because it's just just a job. And I know what I would love to hear, and they record it, and everyone is good with that. I think it's a normal way. I don't even, but it's different with the vocalists because the vocals are in Hungarian, and I know all of them, and they are friends of mine. Because I think it's much better if you are in close relationship, or at least some kind of relationship with the vocalists, because it's a more important aspect, and vocals are much more forward in the mix and much more important than with the lyrics. So that's different. But most of these vocalists are the ones who are on stage with me, so they are in the band anyway. So it is not again, it's doable. But there are a lot of, if you know the band, the live band, there are 8 people in the band. So I think it's a lot for a metal band, but we have 4 singers, 4 permanent singers.
You have to have it, yeah.
And they are all present on the last album.
And who was the Colombian involved in the project?
I don't even know. I think the bass, there was a guy with a fretless bass in 2 songs, but and I'm sorry about that, but probably I mix it up with there was someone from Venezuela as well. No. There was someone.
And after what you said, everything comes clear. You don't even know them. That's interesting. I think that's a new way to do all this.
Well, I think probably some people might say it's soulless, but I think it's not soulless because what matters is the song itself, and I want the song to be the best, and it's just an easy and effective way of creating a song this way for me, and it's performing it live. It's totally different. That's a different kind of animal. So when we do the concerts, it's different. Of course, we have rehearsals, we meet up and we are together and we make music together, but that's the live thing. But the studio thing is absolutely separated, and I want it to be separated because whenever I make an album, I don't consider that it should be played live. How should I play live, or how we will perform it? I don't care. It doesn't matter. Only thing matters that the song should be the best possible, and whenever it's recorded and it's released, then we have the time and opportunity to think about how we'll perform it. And as many of these songs are not being performed because we are not able to perform it the way they are on the record. But I don't care, because there are plenty of songs that are doable on the stage. So the thing I want to say is that the studio and the live is two absolutely different for me, different topics.
Tamás, it was easy for you to have a big time production, and resume it with 8 musicians, or are you comfortable with that?
Well, we have to make compromises when playing live, of course, but I don't sweat a lot about that. If there's a song that doesn't work live, or there are examples of songs that some of the members don't like, because the songs are so different, so it's sort of natural.
That's right.
I think the guitarist doesn't like this kind of music, the drummer doesn't like that kind of whatever. So we only play the songs that all of us, well, most of us are comfortable with.
That's right.
And I don't mind, because we have plenty of songs. So the most important thing is that everyone in the band should be comfortable with the situation, because we want to keep this going for a longer period, and we are friends. And for me, it's more important than just having all my ideas put on stage, because I don't mind. I want to have fun.
You're doing right, because I can visualize that this album 12 is going to bring you to the whole world, man. It's a great album, and not just in on my medias, not only here in Colombia on the public radio or in my site, but I watch all over all the playlists and how the people describe how it was the 2024, and the Catafalque is almost in every countdown, man. So you hit the bull's eye with this album, let me tell you.
Thank you very much. I think but anyway, it makes me a bit nervous, because whenever you have a good album out, I think you always have to think about the next one, and the bar is high, and it's better not to think about it at all when you start making the new one, because it's everyone will compare it to the good one. So you have to really do something better, but probably you are not able to. So you just don't have to worry about it. I try to forget the whole thing about the hype around the album, and just focus on the new one and hope for the best.
You're doing right. I don't want to be in your shoes, man. With what you said, because you are certainly right. It's very difficult. It's very hard our days to have something different in your hands, and you do have it. And not only in music, you just explain how everything works in the Catafalque. So it's great, man, to hear that it's different, it's fresh, it's great, it's different. You have all the qualities to be great. Let's talk about, for example, the cover. The cover is the covers. The last 3 covers are insane. I found out that you are a photographer. Let's talk about that, because this is a piece of art right here. When you see this album, you think many things in your brain.
So it's just accidental. Whenever I see something, I always try to to watch the world, and whenever I see something inspiring, I immediately try to catch it and put it aside for something.
What about this illustration inside? Beautiful.
Okay. Man. Yes, if you have the CD booklet anyway, all the songs are illustrated with a different painting. So there are 12 paintings inside the CD booklet, and this is just one of them on the LP, because it was too many for the LP edition, of course. So it was actually, fun fact, all the paintings in the booklet and in the LP was painted by the lady who is on the cover.
Oh, I don't have no booklet, just this and the plastic.
Okay, yeah, that was painted by the lady who is on the cover art.
And it's pretty interesting, because, as you said, if you see the cover for Vadak and the 12, they have the same flavor. I don't know. They're like.
Yeah. There is too much similarities, I think, between the two. And next time I don't want to put a a photo of a lady in the middle of nature because it's being overused by myself, and it was also accidental. I didn't even realize it. Just I was looking at the cover for Vodok and Alfred and the new one, and they are sort of similar in style because there's a character in the middle of the nature, and it's a photograph for all three of them. And I want to do something different for the next one because it's going to be like boring.
Tamás, you are multi-instrumentist. With which instrument do you think is your main instrument?
Well, the thing is, I am very bad it, in any instruments. I'm not a real musician. I never been. I never wanted to, and that's why I didn't want to go on stage because I'm so useless playing an instrument. When you record, it's sort of different because in the studio it's easier to it's not still not easy if you cannot play well, but it's easier to put together a song. But when you're on stage, well, it is not so easy. So I am no good. I happen to play a bass on stage in Die Catafalque. I used to play keyboards in my previous band, Gir. I was a keyboard player there, but I can honestly say I suck in both instruments, and I don't have a favorite one because I'm no good in them. I'm just there on stage because I have to be there. But I what I like is composing, not
Wow.
performing. And I'm my only luck is that I'm surrounded by very talented musicians who are real performers, who are real musicians, real vocalists, real guitar players, real drummer, who are really talented people, and they are able to lift up the music, and I am there to be there on stage, and it's not easy to keep up the tempo with them because they are professionals and I'm not. I'm just there on stage because I have to be there. But I what I like is composing, not
Wow.
performing. And I'm my only luck is that I'm surrounded by very talented musicians who are real performers, who are real musicians, real vocalists, real guitar players, real drummer, who are really talented people, and they are able to lift up the music, and I am there to be there on stage, and it's not easy to keep up the tempo with them because they are professionals and I'm not.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. I know you're a very busy guy, so please, the last two questions, We already know that this album 12 is going to be on tour. So are you going to keep writing on tour or wait till next year, or how you see the future of the Catafalque?
And we have so far like 8 or 9 dates for this year, concerts, four in South and Central America, the rest in Hungary and in Europe, in festivals. We play at Hellfest and Alcatraz Festival, which are huge ones. Uh, but I don't know at the moment. I'm not sure about the rest of the year. As I said, I think if we reach like 20 gigs per year, probably that's the limit for us. But we will see. Last year we had 17 shows.
Wow.
This year probably around it or 20, whatever we will see. But that's all I know. I don't plan very much ahead because I like things to be exciting and interesting, and I want things to surprise me. So I don't like to look forward to a very far future.
Got
I
you.
can plan for the end of this year because we already know some gigs. I think the furthest is the South American gig. Like in Argentina, that will be the last one in October 25th. That's our last date so far for this year. And after that, I have no idea what's going to happen. And I hope it's gonna be something fun. But I don't know. I have no clue.
Tamas, what do you want to tell to the Colombian rockers, the metal heads that have dig the Catafalque, and the people in Mexico? They also watch my show, and they're going to have you live.
Well, we are very excited to go there finally. We did have some conversations beforehand, last year and the year before, but it never could happen because of the costs. There's lots of costs for us traveling through literally the half of the world. But it seems it will be done again this year, and we are very excited and we are very happy about that. And it's a huge, massive step up for us, and it's gonna be great. And we just hope we could give our best for you guys, because we know there's plenty, really plenty of people supporting us in South America and in Mexico. We don't even know how it happened. I just see the the people commenting and liking and emailing me and messaging me about coming to Chile, coming to Brazil, coming to Mexico, and it's a lot. And I don't even know how it happened, because I don't think many people have access to our records, because they are released in the USA, and that's it. So I think it's very expensive for you guys to order them, or I don't even know if you have a distribution there in South America. All I know is there are some CDs distributed in Brazil by Terror Music, but that's all.
We have to order, and they're expensive, let me tell you.
Yes, so I think it's a huge sacrifice from you guys, and we very appreciate it, because I can't even imagine how you managed to, so many of you liking our stuff and knowing us.
Well, that's my work, I'm a host between you and the listeners. I'm going to keep playing your
Yeah.
music. That's what I can do, because the band is great.
Thank you for them, because it must be something like that, because we were very, very, you know uh, surprised about the fact that so many people do know us from Latin America.
Tamás, thank you very much for your time, for being so kind with us, and we wish you success. You got in your hands one of the best avant-garde metal bands in the world.
Thank you very much for having me. It has been a pleasure, and I hope we will meet and we will just talk soon for another reason.